Peace. This is Watch for Wise Words Media back at y'all for another round. And say it ain't so. Frank Martin pulls out of negotiations for a super fight this fall against Shakur Stevenson for the vacant WBC title. Whoever won this fight was going to be the new WBC lightweight champion. And, you know, his name is Frank the Ghost Martin. But I didn't think they was going to call him the Ghost because he was going to disappear when it came to negotiations. This is some wild stuff right here, man. Frank Martin's reputation is going to take a huge blow for this because now you can add Frank Martin's name to the list of people that is currently ducking Shakur Stevenson. First, you got Lomachenko, who was supposed to, the WBC even bumped Shakur Stevenson from the #1 spot and made Lomachenko the #1 contender. And they bumped Shakur to #2. Shakur and Lomachenko were supposed to fight, the winner becoming the champion. Lomachenko said he wanted no parts of it. He needs time off. Shakur Stevenson took to Twitter, to Instagram, tried to antagonize him, tried to get him to come back and fight. He wouldn't do it. So they moved on to the next man, Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull Cruz at the WBC convention was upset. He was heated, him and his father. And his father said, nah, this ain't right. Why we gotta fight Shakur Stevenson? So they don't want the fight. So now we thinking Frank the Ghost Martin, who not too long ago in an interview was saying sometimes you gotta be the underdog. Sometimes you gotta take the less money and go after, you know, put yourself in a position in a fight where you're the underdog to make history and achieve greatness. And the irony is, right after he says this, here's his opportunity to live by those words, to go into the ring, be that underdog, take the less money, and achieve greatness by not only becoming the WBC lightweight champion, but who he beats. Beating Shakur Stevenson would automatically catapult him to the top 10 pound for pound. This is a guy who didn't duck Michelle Rivera, the Muhammad Ali lookalike, when people were ducking him left and right. Isaac Pitbull Cruz ducked him, amongst others. Frank Martin stepped to the plate and made easy work of him, destroyed him. So now, when you're supposed to take on your biggest opposition, because that was a step-up fight against Michelle Rivera, and now you're supposed to step up again to make history, he backs out? Not a good look, man. Not a good look. I mean, personally, I don't know if Errol Spence losing to Terrence Crawford has any bearing in this decision, because Frank Martin is Errol Spence's fighter. Errol Spence promotes him. And Shakur Stevenson is Terrence Crawford's little brother. So this was going to be vicariously Crawford Spence again. So I don't know if Frank Martin is witnessing certain things behind the scenes that we're not witnessing after Errol Spence took his first loss. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that got him like, man, I don't want to be like that. It's got to be devastating to have your career placed up here and then they pull the rug from underneath you. They rip the concrete from underneath your feet. And all of a sudden, you're like, wow, you in limbo. Because as the old saying goes, boxing is the loneliest sport because everybody's there with you when you're winning. But when you lose, they say there's nothing like that locker room. How empty it is. How everybody that was with you, riding with you for years, months, and days, riding with you. Now suddenly you lose, them phone calls stop, the pop-up stop. Like, that's why they say boxing is the loneliest sport. Is Errol Spence going through certain circumstances like that Frank Martin is witnessing, and now it's got Frank Martin like, ooh, this might be too big of a step up this early in my career? If I take an L, oof, I don't know the bounce back. I don't know. So we gotta, I'll continue to follow this. I'll continue to report it along the way as I hear it. But this is very disappointing. So now, what's next for Shakur? Because, come on, man, it's like Shakur is trying to get these big fights, man, and nobody is stepping up to the plate. And it seems like the only person left, because Shakur Stevenson is so frustrated, he even took to Twitter and posted that same quote that I just mentioned that Frank Martin said. He said, yo, I thought you were supposed to be the underdog sometimes. What happened to all of that? So Shakur Stevenson was highly disappointed. He took to Twitter and just aired out Frank Martin for that. So in that same tweet, or that same Twitter sequence, Shakur Stevenson said, oh yeah, and Edwin De Los Santos, you keep mentioning me, you keep my name in your mouth, I'm coming for you next. So let's see, maybe the WBC now moves Edwin De Los Santos up, and now Edwin De Los Santos, what would this be, like the fourth guy that's supposed to be lined up with Shakur Stevenson for this fight for the vacant WBC title? We'll see. Now Edwin De Los Santos, he might be. And Edwin De Los Santos, man, very dangerous fighter. Very dangerous fighter. He packs up a mean punch. He has a lot of pop, man. And we saw him pull one of the biggest upsets of the year when he beat the previously undefeated Francisco Valenzuela, El Rayo, when he beat the previously unbeaten El Rayo. That put the world on notice that Edwin De Los Santos is no joke. So a fight with Shakur and De Los Santos will be blockbuster. So as I hear it, I'll relate it. I'll get back to y'all as soon as I hear something. I'm Waz for Waz Words Media. Peace.